Respect to you, my brother. What I was trying to say that what you're saying that they went around selling their own, it is kind of right in a way, but it's wrong, also wrong in a way. If you get what I'm saying, it can be right and it can be wrong. And the reason why it can be right is that yes, there were people that were sold within a village or within a town or within a kingdom that may have belonged to the same tribe that was sold because of reasons of they were criminals. So, for example, you'll have people being sold for committing witchcraft, adultery, certain crimes. So certain crimes they will be could be sold into slavery, or they could be made slaves within their own community before the Europeans was there. They will be made to serve someone else as part of their punishment. So that was one category of people that could end up within one community that belongs to each other, and that could be sold to them within their own community. But then, as Europeans came on the coastlines from 1400s onwards, then a market was opened up for slavery to be for peoples to be exported across the oceans, as you know. So what you're saying, that's kind of right. There's. I'm not African myself, but I know there's some oral traditions that come down. I've got friends who I speak to and other people that where their grandparents may have told them something like that. Oh, it was just the criminals in that village that got sold. So you've got that kind of history that came down. But then you have the history of warfare, which was not necessarily people that would be considered as their own. So we use the term our own now. It's within the context of the white man. When the white man is not there, there's not such thing as we selling our own, because we didn't see ourselves as the same people. You know what I'm saying? The context of black on black crime and all this type of stuff, that only comes in context within living within a world where we know there's a white man. The white man, he's got his own and we got our own. But really and truly, the white man is divided up into many parts and the black man is divided up into many parts. The white man has been killing each other well before he came to Africa. A black man can't say, oh, the white man's killing another white man and they're supposed to be, you're killing their own brothers, or they're killing somebody that belongs to them. No, the white man that kills the next white man doesn't think that person belongs to them. That's why he's killing them. So in Africa, same thing. In Africa, before the white man came, we had our own, as you know, as I said to you, many kingdoms. I'm talking about many kingdoms. Nigeria, there was not such thing as Nigeria from the 1400s right up until 1800s. Nigeria is just the area that's created, that was by the British. So in conjunction with the French took like parts of Niger region, what they call Niger. And Nigeria is the part of Niger that meets the sea. That's what Nigeria means. It's the Niger, the river, where the river meets the sea, then it becomes IA, Nigeria. That's how the English language works in that particular situation. So let's get back. Most of the Africans that were selling other Africans, let's rewind a little bit. Even the term Africa suggests that we are one people. No, Africa is a term given by external. It's not something that was internal. We never saw ourselves as Africans. We just saw ourselves as whoever tribe we belonged to, or whatever empire we was under, whatever kingdom was ruling us. That's what we saw ourselves. That's whether it be Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, all the other tribes in other parts of the world, other parts of Africa, Mende, Ashanti, Fanti, Ga, all these different tribes. Even the tribes that make up Ghana and Nigeria, they would have been bordering each other. So they wouldn't be saying, oh, look, there's Nigeria over there. No, they'd be saying, oh, there's the Fanti people over there. So the Yoruba people may have known the Fanti people. as the Fanti people, not as Ghanaians, but as the Fanti people. So let's get back again. So the concept of selling each other, that means that you belong to each other. But no, these kingdoms didn't see themselves as belonging to each other. They're separate kingdoms that dealt with Europeans on a separate basis. There wasn't no 10 kingdoms coming together to trade with the Europeans. No, these kingdoms were separate kingdoms. So Nigeria at that point, just as you see Nigerian tribes are still around, ethnic groups, those ethnic groups represent the peoples of the region that would have been there roughly. Obviously, things have evolved and changed, but those people, ethnic groups within Nigeria, the way Nigeria is divided up into different regions is a reflection of how it was divided up roughly before the Europeans came. So you had the Hausa, Fulani, and went up different areas. All of that would have been, there already. So when the Yoruba people now, that was always in conflict with the people of Dahomey, and there's certain tribes in that region. Dahomey now is the nation of Benin. They went to war with Yoruba a lot of times, and they enslaved a lot of Yoruba people, and vice versa. They even sacrificed people from Yoruba. So that was part of the sacrificial yearly sacrifices that used to happen. Sacrifice happened in West Africa. That's recorded in West African history. So they would sacrifice these people so they can go back to the ancestors and bring back messages and all that sort of stuff like that. That's the belief. So my point here is that it wasn't so much they were selling their own, it was selling their enemies. Now, your point is that they sold their own. That's true also. That's true also. There was local people selling local people. There was also people selling people just because they're bad mind. So you have people nowadays that just don't like you. Could you imagine back in the day when someone don't like you? There's stories of people been set up and people been taken to the coast, for one reason, but the reason really was to sell them or to get them onto the ship. There's been stories of a whole band of drummers was taken onto the ship because they said they was going there to entertain the ship crew, and the person that took them on there was taking them on there to sell them. So there's all these stories of human, what would I say? As humans, that there's humans out there, con men. There's always been con men. So con men were around those days. So some people was conned into slavery by their own people from their own village, or it could be a family that had a child that didn't want. Children were sold into slavery because sometimes you've got 10 children, and there's 2 children, or one of them you just don't like that child. I'm just saying that I've never been like that, but some people are like that, and more so in the old days where people didn't think about maybe you shouldn't have a favorite child, or you shouldn't have a child that you don't like. You should love all your children, but sometimes a child could be so naughty or so rebellious in the parent's mind that if they had the opportunity to get rid of that child, they would, and it used to happen. So children were sold into slavery, and we know the major amount of slaves were prisoners of war. So there were a lot of wars in West Africa during those 400 years, and some of those wars was fueled by the Europeans, or the Europeans being on the coast and Africans knowing that there's all these goods that they can have. They used to sometimes wars would be fuel so that they can sell slaves. War sometimes could be fuel so that they can buy weapons, because if they had weapons already, you had to get more slaves so you can get ammunition. So ammunition was needed, and then all the other goods that the guy presented in that video. That was a very good video. I've seen one on Badgry before, or Badagry, but this is the best one of that museum. I'd love to go there myself, and they need to rebuild that place. They need to put those artifacts in the proper places, and get that done. I respect you for your comment, but I'm not from Africa, but I know I can be in Africa. Books will take me to Africa. People say you can't read books, like the guy one guy made a comment. No, because people who have been on the ground, historians have been on the ground. African historians have been on the ground. They've written books about Badgry. So I've read about Badgry, and what the guy was saying is all true, because I've read that before of other people that's been on the ground, and they just put their findings in books. Some people go underground and they get oral tradition and put them in books. So people say you can't read books. It doesn't make no sense, because it depends what books you're reading and who wrote those books. So yeah, so basically, people were selling their enemies during war, and then you had those that were kidnapped purposely within their own communities and also outside of other communities. You had people that were taken during raiding parties. You had people that were literally slave traders in Africa, that would actually have armies that would go and raid villages. That used to happen. So there's many ways you could have become a slave. I hope that you get what I'm trying to say.